Okay, so I'm going to go back to security, view accounts, add new account. Now again, new screen, we have this pop-up. Now, if I click off, pop-up's gone. There's nothing to go back to it. So if I had start typing, click off it, it's gone. I lose that information. So once you start into this, this needs to be completed in case if you click off of here. If I have on this, and I go onto the new tab, if I come back, it's still here, but any other clicking disappears. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new account. Let's do a super fake account. And let's do Pittsburgh. Let's spell it right. Steelers is my name. Now the email address. So I'm just going to put. Now the username, the format's going to stay the same. So if you have, for example, St. Bernard, it would still be STBE, and then the last name. The only domain that we have is HCCA.net. So here's the final step is that there's a radio button here that says, I'm going to create it myself in the external directory, or I want the computer to do it for me. You will always check this bottom one. We have asked we have asked for this top one to go away. That hasn't changed. And I don't know if they're going to do it, but this will always be checked down here. And then you're going to type in the password for this new account. So we've asked that you still try to use the same format. Now you're going to be making these up to try to use the same format. So with a capital letter, 2 numbers. So I'm just going to type in capital PITT 36 plus PITT 36 plus. And if I don't have them right, it tells me right away. So until I get them right, I can't go forward. Okay. So there's my name. There's my username. Add new account. So we just ran into a problem. The account was not successfully created. I think that we've had this before and this popped up. We do have a solution for that, but I'm going to go ahead and move ahead that this account was actually created. When it works, you don't get that message and you just get this screen. Okay. So we know about that issue and that will get resolved. So the account is going to go into the Active Directory. You'll just see this screen and that lets you know it works.
Jeff, if they do get that error message, should they contact us?
Yes. So if you do get that error message, then that means something went wrong somewhere. We know what this one means, but for the live environment, you should not get that. And you can go ahead and continue on with creating the accounts and doing everything you need to do. Just let us know, and then we will fix the back end for you. So now I have my account, St. Bernard Steelers. It is active. I don't have any roles yet, so I'm going to go ahead and give myself a role. Teacher. Add role. Okay. So just like before, you would just choose one, have the school, choose what they have, add role. Okay. Just like the old view users. So we're not doing groups right now. We never have. The impersonations is the same. And this is if, for example, you have a secretary that's going to be adding grades for all the teachers. The secretary might need to impersonate the whole building of teachers, but that's really outside the scope of what we're showing today. And then we have the reset password, which again, you will type in the password and hand it off to the user. So once this account's created, in the past, the user would get an email and it would say, here's your username, here is your password, and then there was a message that said, go here to log in, et cetera, et cetera. Now, you will be responsible once this username is created and you have that password that you created, you will be responsible for emailing that user that information. Same with reset password. Users like, I forgot my password. There's no more button that just says reset go and it gets an email. Now you will type it in and send it out to the user. So that's it for the user account. We'll look at the staff account. And the staff account is, if you remember, that's what shows up in the drop downs. So the staff account, if they are a teacher and they need to assign them a class, shows up in the teacher drop down. Counselors show up in the counselor drop down. Nurses show up in the nurse drop down. But you're going to have a lot of people that you're going to have that are going to have a staff account that aren't going to really show up in any of the drop downs, but you still need to have that staff account for them, because a lot of the third-party vendors are pulling this to create accounts in the third-party software that this user might need. So we're going to go ahead and do this, fix up the staff account. The first thing we need is we need to edit the staff account, because what we're missing is a staff code. We'll put that in. As you can see, the state ID is mandatory, but I don't have one right now, so I'm going to say it is unavailable. And let's just give them the primary school. And we'll just say today's the start date. And here's another thing that is not by default is active. So the staff account is not active. And like I said, because they might not need to be in a drop down and they might not need the staff account except for third party issues or whatever. So this is not a default. We're going to ask them to make that a default, and then we hit save. Now, as you can see, once I've activated the account, hit save. Now I can do the job functions. So I'm going to say in the high school for this year, this is a teacher. All right. Now the easy query, this is where you can automatically assign the easy query for so that they, instead of giving them the role easy query, you can assign it here, and then they can see all students automatically. Oops. And see how nothing, can't check anything because this actually hasn't been saved yet. Hit the pencil, it is now saved. And I can check the easy query, although I don't know why you need two of them right now. I'm still looking into that. Now, I can add, and I'll try that high school for this year, attendance. See, I can't add a school. I can't add a school because I already have a 2001 school year. So you only have one row for the user. So I can click the pencil, and now I can click school support, save. And now I have both. So if I try to go up here and say, oh, it's a teacher and school support, and no, you can only do all the editing on the one line. But if you want to go backwards and say last year was also a teacher, now I can add the school because it's a different year.
Something else that's slightly different on this screen than in the past is they didn't always necessarily give a person a staff function, a job function on their staff account. And they are recommending that you still give everyone a job function. And if they don't need a specific function to drive their gradebook access, that you could select not, is it not specified or?
Yes. Yep.
So for a secretary, maybe that doesn't need gradebook access, they only need SI access, they still recommend giving them that job function of not specified.
Right. So I can click on this pencil to edit, and I can delete these two. And now there is a not specified. Correct. So as she said, again, everybody has something in there as a function, and it's not being missed. So, you know, signifying that you didn't miss it, just there's no specific function. Now, another new feature is what you're not seeing is, remember the set associations. So you would create the user, you would create the staff, and then you would link them together. These are automatically linked together. Once all this is done, once you go into Gradebook, which since it didn't create the AD, I don't think we're going to see it. But once you go to Gradebook, that's automatically going to go down if they are a teacher. So if you've given them a teacher, secretary, principal, those functions that we did on the staff tab, once you add these, you can go and look in Gradebook at the staff, and it's going to be there instantly. You don't have to run integration. You don't have to ask us to run integration, but it'll be there.
Jeff, we've got a good question on the account tab where
Yes.
there is the username. Question about when staff get married and they need to change the username, can they change it in that field there?
Yes, you can change it. So if you hit edit account right now, I can change that. However, this does not go back to the Active Directory. So you can change this part, which you could not change before, but you're still going to need to say, hey, I've changed the username to this. Please update the Active Directory. And then we'll change it in the Active Directory. And then the password will stay the same and everything will work just fine. But it's not, unfortunately, yeah. Again, I think that's part of the future that's coming, that you'll be able to do that on this one screen and it will work instantaneously. But for now, you are going to have to let us know still about changing that user. Any other questions?
None in the chat box at this time.
I've seen if, pretty sure I had created an account. I was wondering. I forget the account that I had created before. Oh, sorry. Was it the account with Bilbo Baggins or something like that?
There it was, Jeff, Bobby Buddy.
Where? Well, I don't know if I did that one. Maybe, but it would have been linked. Anyways, so it'll show up right away. You can come down in here and it will have the teacher role, the username will be linked, and everything will be ready to go. Now, if you haven't assigned them classes yet, you'll still need to do that. And then the integration will still have to run for the classes to come down. But it's the adding the staff account is instantaneous. Once they've been given the functions down here. This is, so, and again, that didn't show up until I checked active. You have to remember to check active. So that's it. That's the new look and feel. Again, the caveats are you're going to have to email the username and password. We're going to put together some documentation. If you're using Outlook, I have played around and tinkered around with that about creating a template that you can just kick off that template and just paste in the username and password, which should speed things up. I'll have to look into maybe if Gmail or Yahoo has those same things that you can use. And I think that's it.
All right.
For now, yep. It's going to start tomorrow morning.
I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again. So if you want to practice this at all before tomorrow, I do have displayed on the screen a demo website that you can, it's kind of a play website that has pretend data in it that you can get in there and create some accounts if you want to practice it and see if you stumble across any other questions. And so the web address is there at the top of the screen. You'll use the domain of HCCA. Username is master30 and password HCCA7615, and that is all caps. So you can use that at any time to practice if you want to poke around in there before the install happens. Otherwise, as Jeff said, it's going to be installed this evening. You'll see these changes tomorrow.
Along with all the other changes that are coming with those two. So I believe the update was sent out by David. So some
yes,
SPS and Graybook stuff, yeah. And as Kimmy said, you can do this to practice, but you can use this at any time. You got a new user, you want to do a class, you can, this is always available to you. You don't have to wait for some new software or new update to come out. You can log in and do whatever you want in here to practice at any time. That's what it's there for.
And just be aware they do wipe it out every week, I think. So if you're, creating some things in there to play and you go back the next week and they're gone and you worried something happened, they refresh the data in it every week. Other than that, do we have any other questions on any of the security changes?
You guys were easy. The last two classes hammered us. Okay, well, we'll be here if you run into situations starting tomorrow. Send us a ticket, give us a call.
All right, thank you everybody for joining us today.
Thank you.